Welcome back, everybody, to another shocking courtroom episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, shocking it is. Today we're going to see a white supremacist get sentenced to a lot of time in prison for a camping trip that ended with murder. As a matter of fact, a lot of people thought at first it was a bear attack. But per usual, that forensics team got to the bottom of it. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, the article begins saying a jury found Darren Christopher Abbey guilty of fatally attacking Dustin Cursum with an axe, a block of wood, and a screwdriver after the pair met at a campsite at Cursum's campsite near Big Sky, Montana on October 2024. Investigators ultimately linked Abbey to the crime scene after his DNA was found on a beer can inside the man's tent, with Abbey initially claiming the killing was done in self-defense after Cursum allegedly attacked him. However, authorities pointed out numerous inconsistencies in Abbey's story. While pointing to the multiple chop wounds sustained by Cursum in the attack, Cursum's girlfriend and friend later discovered Cursum's body and initially reported it to authorities as a possible bear attack. But the authorities later ruled out that theory after wildlife agents found no signs of animal in the area. Abbey later admitted to stealing Cursum's cooler, guns, and cell phones, while also concealing evidence after the murder. The 6-day trial ended in Abbey being convicted of deliberate homicide and tampering with evidence, with the defendant choosing not to take the stand in his defense, but he will be taking the stand today to speak before he gets sentenced.
I'd like to start out by saying how unfortunate that this all happened. And I wish none of it did. I wish I never met Dustin and that I found a different camping spot that evening. I would have been fine with me and my husky puppy as I was the previous nights camping nearby, as I have always camped out while working on projects in the past years. Never having any issues before. I was a happy self-employed contractor, owner of Norse Carpentry and Painting. I recently bought some property with a house to remodel on Basin Creek. I was also building a small cabin for myself.
Not no more.
I spent the summer building several custom homes near Troy, and I've been a contractor for 10 years in northwest Montana, mainly in the Kalispell area. I have plenty of money in the bank and about to get off of probation from a DUI from 5 years ago. My life was great, and I had no reason or purpose to commit a random act towards anyone violent or want to fight anyone. Why would I? Everything was going good for me. I had several projects I bid as a contractor.
No one cares about how much money you had in the bank or how many contracted houses you built. Millionaires with tons of things to look forward to and good things going their way still see red and end up killing people. It seems like this guy's speaking in riddles. He's apologized and he says this should never have happened. Almost like he's preparing for the appeal process and he don't want to solidify, guilt.
I did not know Dustin. When I first encountered him, he approached me when I drove up and was turning around. He seemed like a likable guy. I wish this never happened.
Uh-oh. Are those tears? Bobby, chill. Don't kick him while he's down.
I asked the family and friends of Dustin to understand what really happened. I never intended any of this to happen, but it did. I'm sorry for your loss of him.
The smell of fresh grown man crocodilia makes my skin crawl.
I just hope you find it in your hearts to forgive me. If not today, but in time. It was a tragedy, and I feel bad about, and I'm truly sorry for him, his family, and friends. I asked the court to take everything into account. I ask for you to see the truth. I ask for your leniency in this matter.
But now we're going to hear the judge's thoughts on the situation, not to mention, of course, the sentencing.
With respect to the claim of self-defense, obviously the jury rejected that handily. But as I noted, there were multiple blows with 3 different weapons. I'm not sure why why the state didn't seek a weapons enhancement, but that's obviously prosecutorial discretion. And thinking more about the self-defense claim, if Dustin was as drunk as Mr. Abbey said he was, then why would he have needed so many weapons? Why would Mr. Abbey have needed so many weapons to defend himself? Moreover, it's just so Mr. Maxfield and Mr. Dolan, you guys weren't here during the trial, but the autopsy pictures were really brutal. In my prior position, I handled a number of homicides, and no autopsy pictures are very palatable, but these were very difficult to take in. What the evidence demonstrated that there was this. I'm sorry to go through this again, but I have to state my reasons for sentence. There was a stripe to the front of the face, a stripe to the left temple, and an injury to the left ear. And when I initially heard about this case, I was actually involved in a number of the search warrants that were made. They were proposed in this. It was talking about chop. And so I thought, as those of us who have gone camping, you bring your hatchet and you've got a hatchet, right? And so I thought there was chopping injuries. And so it's not a hatchet, it was an axe. And similarly, here in Montana, I've chopped a lot of wood. I'm sure a lot of you have chopped a lot of wood. In order to swing an axe, it's not this. It's a full over the head, take the weight, let it drop, swing. And that didn't just happen once. It didn't just happen twice. It happened 3 times.
Self-defense went straight out the window after the 3rd blow, if I were to guess, not to mention probably other things.
And there is an opportunity with each of those to stop.
Yep.
Mr. Abbey didn't do that. Furthermore, there was testimony from a state's witness, and I quoted it here, because I quoted it in my notes during the trial, that there was possible blood on the block could come from someone being struck while on the ground. And so further, and I think this is why the jury came to where, one of the many reasons why the jury concluded what they did, is that Dustin was down. He was out. He wasn't a threat anymore. And so this could have stopped.
He's looking at the judge and probably thinking about the forensics team saying, man, I can't believe they got this 100% right.
There's been an opportunity for him to not die. Moreover, another quote that I put was the injuries were not immediately fatal. Not immediately fatal. What did Mr. Abbey do? Did he do anything to help Mr. Person? No, he looked out for himself because we covered his tracks. By the defendant's own admission, even if you take everything he claims as face value, what he did was hit Dustin in the head with a block of wood a few times. Then after that, when Dustin was obviously incapacitated, he did not try to stop the bleeding. He didn't throw him in his truck and drive him to the ER in Big Sky. He didn't get help from any other campers. He didn't drive down to get cell reception. He didn't go to the 911, the call box that he said he knew about, in Moose Creek. Instead, he focused on himself and left Mr. Person to die. Now, the court notes that Mr. Abbey did help law enforcement find the guns and other evidence of the crime. And while most people who commit violent offenses are not always a threat, Mr. Abbey clearly has moments where he can be incredibly dangerous. Whether you look at this as a self-defense of what he was convicted of, it was a heinous act. And I made a note during the trial about
There's certain words that you don't want to hear before you get sentenced, and heinous is one of them.
Consideration with respect to parole. One of the notes that I made was after we saw the video of Mr. Abby dancing. And that video demonstrated that it didn't seem like he was much bothered by what he had done. Because the video, well, people don't dance when they're depressed. They don't dance when they feel bad. They dance when they are enjoying themselves. So Mr. Abbey, even though he had just killed someone with an axe and then stuck a screwdriver in their neck, was still feeling so good that he had no problem breaking into an impromptu dance for his friends. What that demonstrated to the court is that he could do this again. Now, the court does recognize that Mr. Abbey is always polite in court, and he has not had issues in the detention center. I'm hoping that good contact will continue when he's at prison.
I know it was hard to hear the judge on this one, but it sounds like, he killed Dustin and then went dancing with his friends or something. I don't know, but the judge said if you could do that right after killing someone, you could definitely kill again. For sure, this dude's a damn maniac.
Another issue that was an aggravating factor is that Mr. Abbey was actually on felony probation at the time, and he was clearly violating it.
For the DUI.
One, he was drinking alcohol, and he was on probation for a felony DUI. Two, he was in possession of firearms. In fact, if you listen to what Mr. Osborne said, he stole the guns from Mr. Person, and that was one of the reasons why this whole thing happened. So those are certainly aggravating factors. And he demonstrates that he cannot comply with the conditions of his release, since he was not complying with his probation rules, and as the court noted, he had a revocation from previous felony. Just so you know, it doesn't give me any pleasure to give this kind of sentence. One life is wasted, another is lost. It's a lose-lose situation. As I noted, a sister has lost her brother, daughter has lost her father. Innumerable friends have lost their very good friend, and the list goes on. And none of them have ever had a chance to say goodbye. With respect to commensurate sentencing, the court recalls the case here in Gallatin County of State versus Christopher Wagner. In that case, in this jurisdiction, for the offense of attempted deliberate homicide, the defendant received a sentence of 60 years to the Montana State Prison with no opportunity for parole.
All right, I want to point something out that a lot of people might not know about. The judge went into a previous case, speaking about how this person had attempted homicide or whatever and was sentenced to 60 years without the possibility of parole. He's saying that to kind of build up and compare to the sentencing he's about to get today. How it's not really more extreme, it's pretty much right where it needs to be. And if I were to guess, by the way, he said he's going to get more than that 60 clip. Because remember, that was attempted homicide. This dude actually did it. And this also helps with the appeal process as well, because a lot of defendants, they'll appeal on the grounds of, hey, it was too much time.
So if an attempted deliberate homicide can warrant a 60-year parole restriction, then certainly a deliberate homicide, the criminal history that we see here today, the aggravating factors would similarly warrant a very long parole restriction. Under 46-18-202 sub 2, the court references the facts that is reviewed at this, as it states its reasons for judgment for the parole restriction that it will be imposing here today. So, with that, is there any reason why a sentence should now be imposed?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Abbey, you can stand up and you can say whatever you want to do. All right. So, for the offense of deliberate homicide, a felony, the defendant is committed to the Montana State Prison for a period of 100 years.
100 years worth of smoke, y'all. Smell it, bro. You got plenty of white supremacist homeboys in there.
For the offense of tampering with or fabricating physical evidence,
Smokeville.
the defendant is committed to the Montana State Prison for a period of 10 years.
110.
For count 3,
Consecutive or
tampering
concurrent.
with or fabricating physical evidence. The defendant is committed to the Montana State Prison for a period of 10 years. Sentences under counts 1, 2, and 3 shall be served concurrently.
Oh, okay. He got a little spared on that one. They ran concurrent, meaning he doesn't have to do 100 years, then the 10, then the other 10. Means they combine them all together, and those 10 fall into place with the 100. And when he's done with the 100, he's done with everything. But these days, most people don't live to see 100 or 40, 50, whatever age this guy is now. Add 100 to it, yeah, they ain't really seeing those days these days. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. White supremacist sentenced to 100 years in prison. Today's starting off good, ain't it? But on another note, shout out to the forensics team that handled the case. It goes to show you that it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of nowhere with no kind of witnesses or cameras. They'll still figure out whether it was from DNA on a can or blood splatter on a block of wood. They'll figure it out, and chances are, you're going to pay the price just like homeboy did today. You better start thinking twice when you feel that rage start to build up. And I've been preaching this since day one, man. When you start to feel that kind of feeling, man, like something might happen, you need to walk, if not run away. But I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed, and be ready tonight between 2 and 5 a.m. There's going to be a massive blood moon. You ain't going to want to miss it. I believe it's going to last like an hour. And then some places is going to be able to see something called, don't quote me on this, but an impossible eclipse or something like that. They'll be able to see the lunar eclipse at the same time as the sun's coming up. Don't quote me on it, man. I take in all kinds of intel, man, and just kind of store it wherever. As always, until the next time, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, control your rage and emotions, and I guarantee chances are you'll definitely stay free.